The All Whites are just one win away from booking themselves a spot at the FIFA World Cup after winning the Oceania tournament. Up next, they'll play Costa Rica on the 14th of June in an intercontinental playoff match. And if they win, they'll be the first New Zealand team heading to the Cup in a decade. So here to share how the team's tracking is Coach Danny Hay. Now, thank you for being with us. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Jenny May.
Now you've had a bit of time a bit of downtime from that tournament, from that qualifying tournament. So, what have you been able to reflect on over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, look, it's actually been nice to have a little bit of a break and get back home and spend a bit of time with the family. But yeah, obviously proud of the performances that the players put on. They were incredibly professional with the approach. But now it's really all eyes on Costa Rica. It's one game and it's a massive opportunity to get us back to a World Cup.
Yeah, I know that there are some warm-up matches leading up to that match. You've got Peru, who's ranked 22. So in terms of what you will be looking at as you build up towards that, what will that be?
Yeah, look, and that's part of the reason we want to play a team like Peru and the quality that they possess. Obviously, there's a little bit of history there, which is quite nice because they stopped us from going to the last World Cup. So it'd be nice to challenge ourselves against them. And I think because they hold so much quality, we're going to find out all our strengths and weaknesses. They're a highly experienced team, huge amount of caps. And that is very much what Costa Rica bring to the fore as well. They're an experienced side, played a lot together, so we're going to get some real similarities around that.
How much experimentation do you put into that game against Peru? Because there's a balance, right, between trying to work on the game plan, but also some what-ifs, some other scenarios that might potentially happen. So how much experimentation do you put into that game?
Oh, look, it's a great question because there's we don't get that many opportunities to test ourselves against world-class opposition like that. We are hopeful that we are going to get a second game prior to playing Costa Rica. So probably this first one against Peru, we'll probably look to go as strong as we possibly can and really find out where we stand against teams of that sort of quality. Costa Rica are 31 in the world, so they're a highly ranked side as well. We're hopeful that the second warm-up game that we will get will be against another highly ranked side. So that's probably an opportunity to give other players and maybe squad members a real opportunity to put their hand up and show what they're capable of, because the reality is we just don't know between now and then what's going to happen in terms of
players will be available,
that's right.
Also injuries, etc.
Exactly. So it's genuinely touch wood at the moment that there's still a lot of football to be undertaken by the players in their club environments. So I basically wake up each morning and it's a little bit of holding your breath, going to the phone to hope that something bad hasn't happened. But at this stage, all the players are in a good space mentally and physically, and I think that's important. So we just need to make sure we get to that Costa Rica game in the best shape that we possibly can.
Can we talk about your experience? You've been coach or manager. What do we call them?
We call them coach.
Coaches, yeah. So you've been coach of the All Whites since 2019. You played over a decade for the All Whites. So in terms of what you bring, your experience of on-field, you bring into that coaching role, what do you think is the most important thing that you bring?
Well, look, for me, it's probably understanding the All Whites and potentially what makes us special and what we haven't had in the past. And look, I always looked when I was a player with a little bit of green eyes of envy at teams like the All Blacks and the culture and identity that they had. And I think that's been one big thing that we've really tried to implement is giving the players and the team a clear identity, both on and off the pitch, which, as I said, we haven't always had. It used to be a group of players, we'd all fly in from around the world, play a game, have a couple of drinks that night and then fly off with no real understanding about who we were, who we represent. So I think that's been one big thing that I'm really quite proud of as a group that we've really tried to do, is give the team and the squad a very clear identity and a connection back to New Zealand.
So what is that identity and what is that connection? Because I imagine that all has to do with how you approach a game and the confidence And you know, to be fair, we've had some successes over the years, but you know,
Not enough.
Not enough,
Not
right?
enough.
And so you're dealing, as you know, you're dealing with a squad that hasn't had enough success. And so how does identity play into that?
Yeah, well, I think it's going back to who we are as New Zealanders. I look historically, and it's been driven probably from the coaches who have been in charge at the time. You know, when I was a player, we didn't get told it, but you basically did with how you were being set up, that we weren't good enough, so we had a negative approach to it. Look, the thing that I'm trying to give the players now is real confidence to be brave. So one of the key things that we talk about is acting with courage, earning mana, and being Kiwi, and they're three of the key values that, you know, really encompass our identity, and we want to show those values and bring them to life on the pitch. And that's playing a style of football that represents who we are as New Zealanders, not what England are or what some other side are. And you look at teams like the Silver Ferns, the Black Caps, the All Blacks, and they're innovative. They play with no fear. They take the game to the opposition. I think that's something that as footballers we haven't been encouraged to do in the past, which is what I'm really trying to change.
How do you bring a team together that plays all around the world in different clubs, and then bring them together? And again, I guess identity and that purpose is what brings all those teams together. But that's still tough to be able to do, right?
Look, it's bloody tough.
Yeah.
We get 2 days essentially leading into an international and a normal international FIFA window. So it is tough, but you did right. It just comes back to the culture element, and we've put some, I guess, rituals in place. We have a whanaungatanga process that connects the players back to each other, back to New Zealand, and I think that's something that's been really hugely beneficial for us, is getting back together and connecting on a really deep and meaningful level.
You've got this game. You've got Peru, hopefully another warm-up match, and then Costa Rica. And then hopefully the World Cup. Hopefully the World Cup. In terms of the team, barring injuries, etc., will the same team that plays against Costa Rica go to the World Cup?
Yeah, that's a tough one, and a lot of it's going to come down to form.
Yep.
You know, we want to keep our sort of ideas very open about the players, about who's right for particular games. But the players that and the squad that goes to play against Costa Rica, they've obviously got half a foot in the door, and it'll come down to how they perform and actually how they are inside the environment. And I think that's a big thing, is, you know, you really want to make sure that environment, that culture is incredibly strong, and that comes down to each player and how they act inside that.
It's a fine line, eh? When you've got really talented players, but perhaps don't buy into the culture.
Yep.
Yeah.
And look, we're incredibly lucky that, you know, the players that we have, and we've got some special leaders and some guys that have played and playing at the highest level. I'm thinking of Chris Wood, Winston Reid, but Chris Wood, with what he's doing now at Newcastle United, and the sort of the expectation on his shoulders in his club environment, but he makes himself available every single window to play for New Zealand, irrespective of who we're playing against. And I think he's a great role model for the young players, and the way he carries himself inside the environment, I think, I guess, just shows the way for the younger players, and they tend to follow.
Yeah, sets a tone, eh, when it comes to pride and playing for your country, no matter where you are and who you're playing for around the world.
Absolutely, and irrespective of how much money you're earning and the expectation on your shoulders. So that's been really good to see. It's been quite special. Well,
congratulations on making it this far. All the very best for Costa Rica. Let's go the World Cup. Thanks so much, Danny. Hey, really appreciate your generosity this morning. Thank you.
No, thanks for having me.